Sex offenders and those accused of sex crimes have sealed records. That means you cannot find out if they've been convicted, if charges have been dropped, or even an upcoming court date. All of it has been sealed, and no one can tell us why. KATC's Elizabeth Hill reports tonight.
Eunice police arrested Dustin Heinen on aggravated rape and domestic violence charges in June. Then in October, he was jailed for allegedly stalking the victim and intimidating her. He was due in court Thursday, so we called to see what happened. On the stalking charge, bond was set at $50,000. On the intimidation of a witness, bond was set at $25,000. And he has to wear an ankle bracelet, among other restrictions. On the rape charge, we were told St. Landry Parish does not give out any information on sex crimes. If you're a victim, you can find out updates when you go to court. So Friday morning, we began making calls, trying to get answers on why St. Landry Parish is the only parish in Acadiana that doesn't release information on sex crimes. After waiting for callbacks, we hit the road, showing up at the courthouse, asking why records wouldn't be released. We were given several different explanations. First, that a judge could order cases to be sealed, but we weren't given any order. Then we were told they were acting on a state law that no one else seemed to know about. When we researched the law, we found it had to do with suspects contacting their victims, not about the release of information. Progress was made after calling the Louisiana Clerks of Court Association. The executive director contacted St. Landry Parish, who told her they were acting on a judge's order. She says Judge Alonzo Harris gave the Clerk of Court's office a verbal order that all cases falling under statute 15541 were to be sealed. Examples of crimes listed in this section: rape, kidnapping, prostitution, molestation. The clerk's office says they've been withholding this information for years, but we at KATC can't remember ever being restricted before.
Now, we did reach out to Judge Alonzo Harris this evening to confirm the order or to get an explanation, but we did not get a response as of news time. Now, in his defense, because it took so long to get to the bottom of these restrictions, we were not able to even try to reach him until 3:30 this afternoon. We do plan to stay on this story, and Monday we will have an update. On Friday, KATC was doing some routine checkups on the status of criminal cases in St. Landry Parish Court. We asked Jagno's office about the status of Dustin Heinen, a man Eunice police arrested on aggravated rape charges in June. Last week, we were told St. Landry Parish does not give out any information on sex crimes. That would make it the only parish in Acadiana with such a policy, and so we wanted answers. After we were told the case was sealed on a judge's order, we asked for proof, but the parish did not provide a copy of that order. Well, today, KATC's Sean Klein sat down with Clerk Charles Jagno to set the record straight. And the court documents, well, as of today, they're open to the public. It is tonight's top story.
St. Landry Parish said it's withheld information on sex crimes for years. But Louisiana's Public Records Act states all books and records under state government are public. Clerk of Court Charles Jagno.
Number 48:1844 of Louisiana law. In order to protect the identity and provide for the safety and welfare of victims of sex offenses, it prohibits us from giving out that information in regard to their name.
That's a statute his office was reading when it was asked for information on recent sex crimes. All we wanted to know was the status of a case. That statute only protects the identity of a victim.
But everything else is public.
Correct, yeah.
Jagno laid it all out in front of us. The cases we requested, unsealed and public. Only the victims' names were censored.
The reason that information was withheld, or at least my office staff was hesitant to give it, was in an overabundance of caution to protect the victim's identity.
Jagno says he didn't read the statute correctly, but he's now revising office guidelines to avoid any future misunderstandings. In St. Landry Parish, Sean Klein, KATC, TV3.
Experts weigh in on the restriction of some criminal records in St. Landry Parish. Good evening, everyone, and we have learned today of yet another about-face regarding records for sex crime cases in St. Landry. Those records restricted to the public once again. Now, it all started February 3rd when KATC was checking the status of a rape trial. At that time, we were told because of the judge's orders, no information could be released on any sex crime case. We questioned that order, and on February 6th, the clerk of court told us they made a mistake, that all sex crime records were in fact a matter of public record. But one day after our report aired, a new judicial order and new restrictions on sex crime cases. Jim Hummel is on the story tonight. And Jim, what does this latest order say?
Well, Hoyt, the order seeks to protect the identities of both juvenile suspects and also sex crime victims, things that we in the media wouldn't report to begin with. But this order restricts what information can be released in sex crime cases, and those we spoke with today say that skirts a fine line between protecting victims and the public's right to know.
Signed by 4 district judges, this en banc order is a blanket order, sealing all sex crime records in St. Landry Parish, past and present. Sealed are the grand jury indictments and the bill of information, both of which outline specifics of the arrest and the official charges. What is made available are the edited court minutes, which will be redacted like this to protect the victim's identity. It's a summary of what went on in court that day, including hearing dates, but oftentimes these minutes can take days to be filed.
And you could, during that time delay, miss important proceedings in the disposition of a case, the pretrial hearing, the motions.
Professor Bill Davey teaches media law and ethics at UL Lafayette.
To me, looks unconstitutional on its face.
We've contacted other clerk of courts across Acadiana. They say most of the information St. Landry Parish is restricting is available in their parishes.
Public records are public records.
Dr. Robert Buckman is the faculty advisor at UL for the Society of Professional Journalists.
If they're smart, they will realize that they have stuck their fist into something that they can't get out of and just, admit that they're wrong and go along with the other 63 parishes and federal precedent.
Now, we at KATC are consulting our legal team to look into precedent and also the legality of this order. We'll, of course, keep you posted on any legal action and changes. Live in studio tonight, Jim Hummel, KATC TV3.
Are district judges in St. Landry Parish following their own order? Well, here's some background for you tonight. On February 3rd, KATC was doing some routine checkups on cases in St. Landry Parish Court. We were told at that time all sex crimes were sealed by a judge's verbal order. We contested that order, and a few days later, those cases were opened, just holding back on the victims' identities. But then, on February 7th, 4 district judges signed a formal order sealing all sex crimes in the parish to, quote, protect the victims' identities, end quote. But after filing a public records request last week, 2 judges did release information that was supposed to be under wraps. All new tonight, Sean Klein continues our investigation.
Of Louisiana's 64 parishes, St. Landry is the only one to broadly restrict access to court cases, specifically sex crimes. All 4 of the parish's district judges ordered those sealed earlier this month, giving Clerk of Court Charles Jagno specific guidelines on what information is public and what's under wraps.
We're only allowed to give out the certified copies of the minutes, and that's it.
This is the court order issued on February 7th, sealing all sex crimes in St. Landry Parish with the exception of certified court minutes. But following a public records request we made last week, 2 district judges issued this, not court minutes, but a per curiam, stating the reasons why one of those cases was transferred to another district judge.
I don't know where you got that per curiam, but I would not be able to give it to you.
The information we requested was in regards to a rape case going back to 2009, suddenly transferred last month from Judge Ellis Daggle's court to Judge James Doherty's court. According to the per curiam these judges gave us, the defendant's mother was friends with Judge Daggle on a social media website. To avoid a conflict of interest, the court moved the case to Judge Doherty. In response to our public records request, Doherty writes, "This information will not set a precedent, and any future requests should be directed to the clerk's office, an office following the judge's order to keep information like this sealed." In St. Landry Parish, Sean Klein, KATC TV3.